Without a word, Jungkook followed her upstairs. They both entered the bedroom, and Wine immediately walked toward the couch. Not sparing him a glance, she lay down, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. She was trying to push away the thoughts of Sunho's touch, but the feeling lingered, cold and unwanted. Jungkook, who had stood by the door for a moment, noticed her silence. She knew she wasn't talking to him, but something in the air was off, an unsettling tension he couldn't ignore. Suddenly he heard the soft sniffles from the couch. His brows furrowed and he slowly walked over to her. Kneeling beside her, his hands hovered for a moment before he reached out, searching for her face in the dim light. His fingertips grazed her wet cheeks and his jaw immediately clenched. He had no idea what had caused this, but he could feel her distress. His voice, low and tense, broke the silence. What happened? Wine's breath hissed, and she quickly wiped her tears, trying to hide them. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Nothing. Jungkook's patience snapped. He moved closer, his hand firmly holding her chin. His fingers tightening slightly as he forced her to look at him. His voice was cool but laced with something darker, something protective. Tell me yourself, or else. The unspoken threat hung in the air, and Wine, feeling the weight of his words, finally gave in. Sunho tried to touch me. Her voice cracked with the vulnerability she was trying to suppress, and as soon as the words left her lips, she felt an overwhelming rush of emotion. She couldn't hold it back anymore. Chungo's grip on her chin tightened for a split second, and he inhaled sharply. The anger that surged within him was almost palpable. His whole body was tense, as if he were trying to control something dangerous inside him. I swear, if he ever does that again, his words trailed off, but the intensity in his tone was clear. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself before looking back at Vine. You should have told me sooner. He was conflicted, part of him angry with Sunho, and part of him feeling guilty for not noticing sooner. He didn't want to let anything hurt her, but now he could see the cracks in the facade she had tried to hold up. While still trying to steady her breath, looked away embarrassed. I didn't want to cause trouble. Jungkook let out a small, almost bitter chuckle. Trouble, Wine? You're my wife now. I won't let anyone hurt you, not even my own brother. He stood up then, his expression hardening with a resolve she had not seen before. His protective side, one he kept hidden, was now fully revealed. Stay here, I'm going to handle this. Wine watched as he walked toward the door. His footsteps firm and purposeful. She stayed on the couch, her heart racing, unsure of what would happen next. Outside Sunho's room, Jungkook tightened his grip on his stick as he approached Sunho's door. His mother's voice filtered through the gap, sharp and dismissive, followed by Sunho's entitled tone. Jungkook froze, straining to hear the words. But mom, look, wine is so. How can I not want her? With a scoff, Oh, Sunho, stop winning. I will find a more beautiful girl for you. Someone better than her. I don't want someone else. I want her. Mom, it's unfair. Brother can't see her. Can't even feel her, but I can. I didn't make him blind so you could waste time on this nonsense. Once he signs the property papers, that's it. He will have nothing left. Jungkook felt like the air had been sucked out of his lungs. His own mother. How did you make him blind, Mom? As if you don't know. I do, and maybe I will tell Dad you were the one feeding him the medicine that made him blind, just so I could get the company and his share of the property. Don't you dare, Sunho. You are just as much a part of this as I am. Jungkook's hand trembled, rain and betrayal coursing through him. Without hesitation, he pushed the door open, his stick striking the ground with a loud thud. So, this is the truth. Both Sunho and their mother turned toward him startled, her tone dripping with disdain. What are you doing here? Eavesdropping? As if that's going to change anything. And what if I did? You're a useless son now. Blind, dependent, and frankly a burden. At least Sunho can carry on the family legacy. Jungkook's chest heaved, his breath uneven as he processed her words. You're not my mother. No mother would do this to her child. You're right, I'm not your mother. Your real mother was weak and left you to me. I raised you, fed you, gave you everything, and all I asked in return was for you to sign those papers. Is that too much to ask from someone so useless? Sunha smirked in the background, his arrogance adding fuel to Jungkook's anger. Where are the papers? Finally coming to your senses. I see, I will get them. He handed him the documents, her cold smile unwavering. Jungkook signed them without hesitation, each stroke of the pen like a nail in the coffin of his relationship with her. If you were only caring for me because of this, you should have told me earlier. I wouldn't have wasted my time believing in you. He threw the pen on the table and turned toward the door. I'm leaving with wine. Go then. What use are you to me now? A blind, useless son? Jungkook didn't reply. His steps were steady as he walked back to wine, his heart heavy but resolute. Jungkook paused at the door, his grip on the stick firm. He turned towards Sunho, his face cold and unreadable, but his voice carried a sharp edge. Don't you dare touch wine again. If you do, I won't bear it next time. Sunho swallowed hard, the warning in Jungkook's tone enough to make him step back. Without another word, Jungkook left, his steps steady but his heart heavy. In Jungkook and Wine's room, as Jungkook entered, Wine looked up from the bed, concern etched on her face. His shoulders were tense, his head slightly bowed, and for the first time Wine noticed his eyes glistening. Jungkook, what happened? He sat on the edge of the bed, letting out a shaky breath before speaking. They never cared about me. My mother isn't even my real mom. She's the reason I'm blind. She did it to take everything from me. Wine gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. I am so sorry, Jungkook. You don't deserve this. What are we going to do now? We're leaving this place. I can't stay here anymore. But shouldn't you inform your dad? He should know what's happening. Jungkook nodded slowly. You're right, I'll call him. On the call with Jungkook's father, Jungkook explained everything to his father, his voice heavy with emotion. On the other end, his father was silent for a moment, clearly processing the weight of Jungkook's words. Jungkook, I had no idea she could stoop this low. I'm so sorry. She's my second wife, and I married her after your mother left us. But I never thought she would do this to you. It's too late now. I have already signed the property over to her. I just want to leave it fine. Wait, don't leave without a plan. I have a farmhouse away from the city, peaceful and safe. You can stay there with wine. Please let me do this for you. Jungkook hesitated, taking his hand in hers, her touch gentle and reassuring. Let's go, Jungkook. It's a fresh start, please. Jungkook turned his head slightly toward her, his defenses softening at her words. All right, we will go. Thank you. And one more thing, there is hope for your eyesight. I will arrange for an operation with the best specialists. We will fix this, I promise. One's face lit up and she squeezed Jungkook's hand excitedly. That's amazing, Jungkook. You will be able to see again. For the first time in what felt like years, Jungkook allowed a faint smile to cross his face. Jungkook and Wine packed their belongings and left without looking back. As they walked out the door, Wine slipped her arm through his, offering silent comfort. Though Jungkook's heart was heavy, he felt a flicker of hope. With Wine by his side and a new life ahead, perhaps things could change after all. After the operation, 2 weeks later, hospital room, the day had finally arrived. Jungkook sat on the hospital bed, his hands resting nervously on his lap. Wine stood beside him, her heart racing with anticipation. All right, Jungkook, it's time to remove the bandage. Are you ready? Jungkook nodded, his fingers tightening slightly around the edge of the bed. I'm ready. Wine reached out and gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. Don't worry, everything will be fine. As the doctor carefully unwrapped the bandages, the light in the room grew brighter for Jungkook. Slowly, his world began to shift from darkness to blurry shapes and colors. He blinked several times, his vision gradually sharpening. Take your time, Jungkook. Let your eyes adjust. As the doctor stepped out to give them a moment, Jungkook blinked again, his gaze finally landing on Wine, who stood before him with a hopeful expression. His breath hitched as she took in her delicate features for the first time. The sparkle in her eyes, the soft curve of her smile. Jungkook's voice almost in awe. You are beautiful. Wine's cheek flushed a light pink, her lips curving into a shy smile. Jungkook reached out, gently cupping her face, his eyes glistening with gratitude and emotion. Thank you, Wine, for everything. You stayed by my side when I was at my lowest. You gave me strength when I had no one. I don't know how I will ever repay you. You don't have to repay me, Jungkook. I did it because I care about you. Jungkook chuckled softly, a rare warmth spreading across his face. Well, now that I can see, I will make it my life's mission to take care of you, the way you have taken care of me. Wine laughed, the sound light and full of joy. You better, Mr. John. I have been waiting for this moment. Jungkook smiled, his heart full for the first time in a long while. Jungkook with a playful smirk. It's a deal, Mrs. John. Jungkook pulled Wine into a gentle embrace. He held her close, silently thanking the universe for giving him not only his side, but someone as kind and loving as Wine by his side. This is just the beginning, Wine, our beginning, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Jungkook felt a future filled with hope, love, and happiness waiting ahead.